In the following series of tutorials, I'm going to be introducing the fundamentals of R coding. Stick around here for a short introduction to the course and a guide to setting up the software. I'm Dr. Rex, welcome to the Skullywag Lab. If you have a similar story to me, your introduction to R coding might have involved something along the lines of being handed an old script of code, a new piece of data, and being told, here, make this code work for this piece of data. But if you don't understand what the code means, how are you supposed to make changes to it and make it work? The problem with this approach is you're being asked to learn backwards. Fundamentally, R coding is a language, and you're being asked to reverse engineer a language, and that's a tall order for anybody. And like any language, it's far more efficient to understand the alphabet and the basic grammar of a language in order to more effectively construct sentences. But unlike other languages where the person you're speaking to can kind of get the gist of what you're trying to say, that's not how R works at all, because R has a near zero tolerance for any errors whatsoever. Every line has to be 100% correct. And like any language, you never stop learning. I myself am still learning new things every day. That being said, the goal of these tutorials is not to teach you everything there is to know about R coding. That would be impossible. The goal of these tutorials is more just to give you a better grasp of what exactly you're looking at when you're handed these crazy looking scripts, and also the best way to work with the data that you're given. So by the time you breeze through these tutorials, you should have a better understanding of the fundamentals from which you can build your skill set upon. These fundamentals include navigate the layout of the RStudio software and understand basic syntax, recognize and understand the uses of functions, packages, and objects, know how to format, import, and export your own data sets, perform basic statistical tests and accompanying visualizations. And you know what? Maybe I'll do some bonus material like how to write loops or even functions.
Bonus.
But most importantly, you'll learn how to troubleshoot most of the problems that you'll come across all by yourself. Now, before we get into these tutorials, the first thing we're going to do is just make sure all the software is downloaded and everything's in working order. I'll be running the tutorials through Windows, but the basic downloads and operations are very similar across all the platforms, so if you're working with a Mac, it shouldn't be a problem. Alright, first up, let's type into the Google search, download RStudio, and that will take you to this first link here, which you click on. And firstly, we're going to go to install R. So then you select whichever platform you're using, and then just go and click on install R for the first time. Now click on that top download button there, that will usually be the most recent version, and click on it when it's downloaded. Click OK. Assuming you don't have any out of the ordinary requirements, it's pretty much just clicking next on everything. And then finish. Alright, so now you can see R is installed and there's a shortcut on the desktop. Alright, next we go back to the first tab and we now click Install RStudio. When that's downloaded, we click on that. And once again, it's pretty much next every time unless you've got different preferences, and then click Finish. Alright, we can close that down now, but you can see here I don't actually have a shortcut on the desktop for this one, so we're just going to go find it manually, and we'll go and copy a shortcut onto the desktop. Just makes things a bit easier. Alright, now what we want to do is create a folder into which we put our data sets and we save our R scripts. So I'm just going to create a folder on the desktop and call it R Tutorials. But you can create this folder anywhere you like. Now let's go into RStudio. So you can see on the left here we've got the console, on the right we've got the environment, and down in the bottom right there's a collection of tabs that we'll be looking at more in the future. But for now, let's go to Tools, Global Options, and Appearance, because what I really want is a nice look. So if you look through this list, you can see that there's all these different color schemes for different themes of RStudio. But I have a personal favorite that I like to use, and that is Dracula. So we apply that. All right, so now we've got a good looking RStudio. Now let's go to new file and script, and you can see that's inserted that script into the top right and moved the console down below it. Now what we want to do is save that script to the folder that we created called our tutorials, and we'll just call this one tutorial 0. So next we want to go to session and set working directory to source file location. And what that does is it sets RStudio to operate out of that folder. So anything you save will be saved into that folder. Anything you import will be imported from that folder. Final best practice thing for beginners is to just go into code and select rainbow parentheses. So a common mistake that beginners in R coding make is that they have missing parentheses, and the rainbow parentheses option lets you see whether they're all matched or not. And that's it. All right, time to celebrate because you are ready to do some R coding. Tune in for the first tutorial where we'll be going over the basic syntax that you'll be using for the vast majority of your coding going forward. If you find this content useful, make sure that you like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.